Vamos a hacer cascarones hoy. There are different ways that you can get the yolk out of the egg when you're making cascarones. I think I'll do this. One method is just to use a thumbtack here or a push pin and punch a little hole. Just kind of wiggle it around. Now you're not going to blow the eggs out like when you make an egg tree or something. So you don't need to put another hole in it. This is just a way to get it started, to start cracking the egg. Because when you make cascarones, it really end up with a pretty big opening size, like that. And if it's a little bigger, no problem. If it's a little smaller, well, if it's too small, then it becomes hard to put a challenge to put the confetti in it. So, like that would definitely be too small. Sometimes I get students who like to have little openings like that, but there, I've carefully just kind of chipped away at it. And if you're really careful, you can avoid getting shells in the yolk. I just pick them out when I get it in anyway, but you can avoid that, and then you can dump your egg in here. And you can make scrambled eggs or use it to bake a cake or whatever. And there you go. Now you take it over to the sink and wash it out and then let it dry. In order to make cascarones, you need to fill the empty eggshell with confetti. Now here I am at home and I don't really have any confetti and I can't really go anywhere. Social distancing, you know. So I've been thinking about different ways that I could make some confetti. I scrounged around the house and looked for some different kinds of paper, which really wasn't too hard for me to do. And I came up with some old paper, and I decided the first way I'd try to make my confetti would be using my paper shredder. Hopefully you have a paper shredder, because I think this will be the most efficient way to make it. So I'm gonna turn it on and go ahead, and this is just some old paper, but if you don't have colored paper, you could just use white paper or wrapping paper. You could use some wrapping paper. Just have to cut it into sizes appropriate. Okay, so let's see what we have here. I just heard my egg fall to the floor and crack. Good thing I have plenty. All right, so I'm going to lift this off. And, oh, we got a few chunks in there. We can clean that out later. And let's see what we have. So, here's the confetti that I made with the paper shredder. Turned out pretty nice. Now if you use wrapping paper, you'd probably have to cut it into pieces, of course, that would go into the paper shredder, depending on the size. And in the bottom here, I actually have some old papers that I shredded. I think you could probably use pages out of magazines too. So this all worked out pretty well. I think it might be a good idea to cut it up into little tiny pieces, tinier pieces. Yeah, let's see though. You could probably still put it in the eggs without cutting it up, but it will be a lot more fun if it's shredded. Yeah, see, you can still stuff it. Yeah, that works. So paper shredder, very good way to go making the cascarones. I'm going to put that inside so I don't break another one. Paper shredder, very, very good. Okay. So maybe you don't have a paper shredder. You could do, but you have paper punches. Now, I don't have just a regular hole puncher, but that would work beautifully. You could just start making a bunch of little holes. A lot of you have used paper punchers in my classroom and put little paper punched holes all over my classroom before, so I know you know how to do it. But here I have my decorative punches, and they could be really fun if you don't have a paper shredder. You'd have to be a little bit patient. I scrapbook, so I have lots of fun papers, but you'd have to be a little bit patient because it's going to take a while to get enough. Fun little hand here. But if you have a hole punch, you could just, and don't have fancy ones, you could just use your hole punch, or if you have a paper punch for making 3 rings in paper, that could do it pretty speedy. And I bet if you opened up the catch underneath your paper punches, you'll find a whole bunch of little discs in there already. So yeah, that works out really good. It's just going to take a while, but we all seem to have a lot of time these days. You could sit and watch a movie and punch holes. That's why I'm telling you about these eggs this week, because these are, as you are learning, these are fun for Easter. So you could spend some time watching movies and making confetti. So hole punches. Yeah, I haven't made this one in ages. Yeah, that makes it really easy and fun. Okay, so another way would just be to use some old-fashioned scissors and cut little strips. And again, it's going to take some patience. And you could just cut the little pieces like this and cut them into confetti. Cut them into this bowl. Yep. You could do it that way too. Now I do a lot of crafts around my house. So I have a paper cutter. I don't expect you all to have paper cutters, but if you do, again, you could cut your strips of paper with the paper cutter, and then cut them up into smaller pieces. Well, that one's pretty fat still, isn't it? And you could cut up where'd the scissors go? You could cut up the lip paper and to make your confetti that way too. So lots of ways to make confetti. Now I also found some old ribbon. That could be a lot of fun to tear it up. You know, some of this ribbon you can actually peel apart like that. And then you could cut that into chunks. The red and shiny colors would look really nice. I have some curling ribbon. That's another one that could be lots of fun. You can curl the ribbon. I'm never very good at curling ribbon, but give it a little try here. Well, nope, see, I straightened it. That's no good. But you could curl it. There's a little curl. And as you can see, it will give you a fun little piece in your confetti. But the ribbon, another strategy. And when it comes to types of paper, I don't know about you, but I have tons of old cards around. And those could be fun to cut up into confetti too. I don't know if it'll go through the paper shredder. Might jam it. But as you can see, there's lots of fun colors and a little bit of sparkle that would make your confetti a lot more interesting. Not that the confetti really has to be all that interesting, but you know, the idea is just to kind of have fun and make some confetti to fill the eggs, to put inside the eggs. So maybe you have some better ideas than I do, but all ways to make confetti. Once you get your egg all cleaned out and it's dry, then it's time to decorate your cascarone. There's so many different ways you can decorate them. You can decorate them traditionally using Easter egg dye. I personally like to use markers. They work really well. And you do have to be very careful though, because these shells are very fragile. But this year I'm going to try something new. On the front of Martha Stewart magazine, she had these beautiful eggs, and I read that they were made with wrapping paper. So I got out some of my old wrapping paper and I cut it into strips, and I decided that I would try the idea with my cascarones and glue the strips on. I think it's going to work out pretty cool. So I have a glue stick. I like to glue on a plate, and I always like to use a plate that I can wash later rather than a paper plate. You know, save the environment. That's why I like to use recycled paper for my projects too. And then I'm just going to very carefully, I already put one on, I was kind of trying it out. Put one on. Carefully tuck it under the edge. Bring it around. Bring it around the egg. I don't know. Bring it around the egg and back up the other side and press it down. I think we can cover the whole egg that way. Or it might work better, put it over the top, might work better, I'm not sure, to just use some strips rather than try to wrap it all around the egg. Maybe use a smaller strip and just go down one side. You could start at the top again and just wrap it down and cut it off and have them all come together at the bottom. So I'm going to be back in a minute after I've covered my egg like that. I'll do one more. This pretty yellow one might be fun to put on. So this one's pretty fat. We'll see how the fat ones do. Might be easier to use narrower strips. I don't know. It's the first time I've ever tried this. So again, I'm going to put it under the edge, over the edge of the egg, very carefully. Again, these are very, very fragile. When we make them in school, I always have students bring a couple because it's pretty easy to break them. Yep, there we go. Yep, I think that's going to work out pretty nicely. So that would be one way to decorate it. Markers, egg dye. When you look online, you'll see all kinds of really cool ideas. Okay, so I've decorated a couple eggs. I used markers for that one. And this was the paper one. It turned out all right. Definitely would take some practice to have it turn out really well. But fun idea, although I wouldn't recommend using this one on top of somebody's head. It might hurt a lot because it's pretty solid now that it's all glued on there. So this one's very fragile yet. But okay, so the next step is to fill your cascaron with some confetti. I don't know if you use a lot or a little. Depends how much mess you want to clean up. And by the way, probably do this outside because I've done it in the house with my grandkids at my daughter's house, and it made a horrible mess. We were cleaning up. She said she cleaned up eggshells and confetti for a long time. Those little chunks. So take it outside. Okay, so got some confetti in there. And I think the confetti would be better if it were smaller pieces, but I'm just trying to get through this video so you guys can make your own. Okay, so the next thing, we need to seal them up. Now you can cut the shape any way you want. Lots of times it just, okay, back up. You need tissue paper. This nice tissue paper doesn't even have to be in good condition. And you can cut a square or, like I mentioned earlier, any shape you want. And see, those are going to be too big. But you want them so what we're going to do is they're going to cover the opening of your egg. I've had some students very meticulously cut circles and put those over. Just depends. But traditionally, you just take a square piece of tissue paper and glue it on. So Now, again, do not glue on the egg because it's fragile. So I'm just going to put some glue on my tissue paper and around the edges. Put a little more. And I'm going to just press it over the top. Put it on the top and press it down. And it's okay if it's wrinkly, a little bit wrinkly. It doesn't really matter. There, turned out pretty nice. There's one. And then this one, because I have all these jagged edges design, I'm going to just use my square. Okay. Put my glue on. Well, that's still covering up quite a bit of my egg. I spent a lot of time making that egg kind of pretty, so I want more of the egg to show. Needs a little more glue now. As you can see, I'm not too fussy about. And when you buy them already made, they aren't perfect. They aren't. They're just kind of roughly done. And there we go. And there's my cascarone. Little piece of art in itself. And here we go. Cascarones.